The Science Basement!
Hello and welcome to the Science Basement podcast, a podcast for those who love all things science. I'm your host for today, Roslidia. And today I'm very happy to be joined by Dr. Victor Oria, who is an assistant professor at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark. And we will talk about his journey in science. And about Victor, he did not grow up wanting to be a scientist. In fact, his childhood dreams included everything but science. He wanted to be a pilot, then a truck driver, an architect. And at one point, there was even a nudge by his family towards being a lawyer. But life had other plans. So, hello, Victor, and welcome to the Science Basement.
Yeah, thank you, Roslidia, for the kind invite. It's been a while. I've been looking forward to this, and
Yeah.
I'm here today.
All right. So, tell us about yourself.
Yes, so by name, I'm Victor. I'm a scientist, and I was born in Kenya. But at this point, even though I still consider myself Kenyan, I am a global citizen because I've lived and worked in different parts of this world. I've experienced many cultures, many people. I've had many experiences. So I would consider myself to be a global citizen in that sense.
Right.
So,
But then tell us about your journey into science. How did it begin?
so my journey in science began as an undergraduate at Kenyatta University in Kenya. So I was studying biochemistry. And then, as is always the case when you are in your final year of your undergraduate studies, then you need to get an internship. I was lucky to get an internship with the Kenya Medical Research Institute. And it's at that point that I really got a first-hand experience with what scientific research was. I was very glad to be under the mentorship of two impressive ladies who I would say kind of sparked the curiosity in me. And this is what really pushed me towards, really going into this direction. Because before doing that internship, I had other ideas.
Right.
Yes.
So after doing your internship, where did you do your master's and PhD?
Yeah. So after my internship, actually, I, like every other young Kenyan, I got involved with other sort of things, academic writing, pharmaceutical rep, and so on. But I was never really motivated by any of those. So one of my mentors, who was then a senior lecturer at Kenyatta University, encouraged me to start looking for international scholarships. And I remember him telling me one thing: you're never going to leave this country if you don't have a passport. So the first thing you should get is get a passport. After that, then you will have that mindset to start looking for things outside this border. And surprisingly, it worked. So I did my master's in England in medical diagnostics. Afterwards, I went back home. I was a graduate assistant at Technical University of Kenya for a semester. That wasn't really my thing. Then I got to work for ISIPE as a scientific consultant, and that was really interesting. And it was while there that then I applied for a PhD in Germany. Then I got to go to Germany to study or to do a PhD in cancer biology. And as they say, the rest is history. Yeah.
Right. But you also said you were at Yale. What
Yes.
were you doing there?
So after my PhD, I got a postdoctoral position at Yale Medical School in the United States, which was a really impressive experience. I really enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot, but then COVID happened, and that kind of pushed me back to Europe. So I ended up coming to Copenhagen, where I was a postdoc for 3 more years until last year when I was made an assistant professor.
Right. How was your experience at Yale? You have said that it was quite an enlightening period for you. Tell us more.
I mean, here I'll speak about my experience as an African. We always have something about these Ivy League schools,
Right.
whether it's Yale, whether it's Harvard, whether it's Cornell, Columbia, Stanford. You always there's always this thing about, it's a big thing. And so actually, I never really wanted to go to Yale, if I could take you back a bit. But then when I told my friends and even my brother that, I'm thinking twice about this, and they were like, "Stop joking.
You must be crazy.
Everybody wants to go to Yale. So go to Yale. Then you can quit afterwards, but just go and see." Yeah, it was a very good experience. I made very great friends there. I had one of the most considerate PIs at Yale,
Yeah.
because you would think that being a very top-notch institution, there's a lot of pressure to kind of like do good work. And my PI was very considerate, was very empathetic, like, proper mentorship. And I really enjoyed what we do there. And I might as well say that we are still working together, and we will continue to work together, even though I'm not in the US physically.
That's nice. So, at the moment that you worked during your internship at Cambridge, it sounds like one of the most turning point for you in terms of joining research. So, after that, what motivated you to stay in science?
I guess curiosity, because when you grow up in the settings we grow up in, we had so much incidences of infectious diseases. So like TB, HIV, the choleras, the typhoids, you have the malarias, and so on. So that's what you see. But when I moved out of the country and then started hearing about cancer, of course I knew about cancer, but not to the scale that it is out here and what is being done about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I was just like, I think I've found my niche, and this is what I really want to do. Yeah. So I would say I stayed in science because of curiosity. Yeah. I've always been a curious person, naturally. I always want to find out more. Yeah. And I also like reading. And I think that comes in very well with being a scientist.
Great. So, what are some of the accomplishments that you have achieved so far in science?
I mean, as scientists, we tend to look at what we've published, or what we've discovered, or what we've done. And of course, they're important. And also for me as a scientist, I've published. And there's always this good feeling when people cite your work. You always look at your Google Scholar and you're like, oh, wow, I've been cited, blah, blah. But I think for me, the most important thing is the relationships and the experiences that I've had. Because living in different countries, different cultures, making friends in those places, going there, doing a project and finishing, is not easy. Yeah. And the fact that I've gone to England, I've been to Germany, the US, and now Denmark, and in all these places, I have built relationships, I've done projects, I've completed projects, I have made friends. For me is the greatest accomplishment I can ever see. I can ever count, because there are people who come abroad and they have very terrible experiences. So I wouldn't say the same for me.
Mm-hmm. But earlier you told me that one of the biggest achievement would be if your work could lead to a discovery of a molecule.
Yes, that's an achievement I'm yet to accomplish. And of course, given the devastating effect of cancer to patients in the world, in neglected populations like Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and given our understanding now of genomic diversity, it would be nice to kind of like, come up with a molecule that can be used to treat certain types of cancers, or a molecule that fits all cancers. That would be a great accomplishment, but I'm not there yet. So I wish, and I hope that one day all this work that I'm doing will be like a building block to something like that, so that even if I'm not doing this anymore in years to come, I'll be able to say like, oh, my work led to this,
Right.
Yeah.
But let's be real, science is not always sunshines and breakthroughs and accomplishments. What's a regular day in science like for you?
There are good days and there are bad days. Yeah, a good day is when things work the way you want them to. A good day is when you get you kind of like confirm a hypothesis and the data is very strong. That's a very good day. A bad day is when simple things that are supposed to work don't work, and there's no other way to do that. If you are running a simple experiment where the protocol is set and that's how you do it, that's how it's supposed to be done. There's no troubleshooting, there is no overthinking, it just didn't work. And those are very frustrating moments and we experience them every day. Even at this point in my life, having done so many experiments over the years, I still experience them. And so I've simply learned not to take them personally. Yeah. Because first of all, if it were easy, everybody would do it. And number two, I feel like these failures or these bad days that we have in science, it's more like what we would say in Kenya, character development. They tend to build your resilience. They tend to nudge your expectation, and they also kind of like deflate your ego sometimes, because sometimes things can be going so good. And I mean, when I was a PhD student and I was part of this international team, each one of us always had that peak moment where everything was working well, and that's when you did most of the things.
Yeah.
Because you knew there's just a bad day around the corner, and then everything would just go down.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think in science and PhD, definitely resilience is one of the most key factors in succeeding.
Yeah.
But talking about resilience, it seems for one to succeed in science, they need to be able to handle setbacks well. Like you have said, you have learned to not take things personally.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you encourage young students to handle setbacks?
I think number one is to always believe that you're not alone, because you're working as a team. So talk to others, share those difficult moments with others. And I know also as humans, we have this fragility that, oh, if I say I don't know this, maybe I will look stupid, maybe I will look, yeah. It happens to the best of us. Like I can tell you, for instance, like right now, I'm just about to submit a manuscript, and you send it to different people, and the feedback you get is very different. There are people who will tell you, oh, that work is really written well, very, very good. No, just a few corrections here and there. There are people who will come back and say, no, change this, change that, change this, change that. And at times that can deflate your self-confidence and esteem, but it's just a matter of it makes me think that sometimes when I review somebody else's work, I see things that they are not seeing. Yeah. So that's why, like in a setup where you have a team, it's important to kind of like include everyone. And number two, also like try to have a life outside of science. Yes, because science will still be there on Monday. You don't need to work on Saturday and Sunday. When things are going in the wrong directions, like nothing is working, we tend to always think that, oh, if I do it tomorrow, it could work. But maybe what it's trying to tell you is, take a break, go do something else, read, or, go to a Zumba class, or go run, or, just get yourself out of that setting. And then you are able to kind of like relieve the pressure you have. And then you're able to think clearly. And then maybe you see, oh, this is what I'm doing wrong. Or this is why this was not working.
Right.
But if you oversaturate yourself with this, it's like you're in a dark room.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a dark room with no windows or no lights, then you're not going anywhere. You're stuck. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yes. And then just to say, don't take it personal. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. I think most of the time we tend to think that, oh, it's my problem. Maybe I'm not good enough. But maybe it's not. You're not the problem at all.
Yeah.
And I think recently Amy said that, for example, in science, if you have an experiment and you budget for X amount of time, the reality is that it should be X times 2 and then take the larger unit. That's just how science is and experiments are.
Yeah.
How do we get used to failure? I don't think it's as easy as you have just tried to put it.
Right. Nobody likes to fail. Yeah.
That's
Nobody
true.
likes to fail. But I think in my I'm not that old, but in my limited years of life living, I think one of the compliments I always get from people who know me is that, you're always very calm. Even when there's a storm or whatever, you're very, very, very calm. And I'm always like, what is the worst that can happen?
Mm.
Yeah. So I think it depends with how one looks at failure. Is it because of me, or is it because the hypothesis is wrong, or is it because maybe the setup is not right? So there are many things. Yeah. But because we live in this perfect world, yeah, where everything seems perfect, yeah, where you see, whoa, so and so did this, is so perfect, but you never see the tears and the pain and the setbacks behind that success. And I
That's
think,
true.
the more we communicate about failures, the more we communicate about things that don't work, yeah, then we are able to kind of like put it out there in the open that, it's okay to fail. It's okay to not get it right. It's okay that things can go wrong. Yeah. But because we want to appear strong, superhuman, whatever superhero you want to be,
Mm.
the lessons we even give to our children is that it's not okay to fail. Yeah. So they make mistakes, and then their whole self-esteem and confidence just goes away. Yeah. And that's the same case for science. If you have people who are constantly just, speaking about the positive results, and we don't talk much about what doesn't work rather than what works. And therein lies the problem. Yeah.
I think you're right. Like during conferences, we've never seen somebody coming to a conference and presenting negative results. And I haven't come across a paper that has published negative results.
Yeah. And now that you say that, it reminds me of when I was a first year PhD student and I went to this small conference. It was a subject specific conference. And there was this postdoc from the Czech Republic who was presenting something on brain tumors. And her project was very, very similar to another project that a colleague of mine was running in the lab. So I remember when I went back, I just told my PI that, look, what this person is trying to do, there was a talk on this at the conference I just went to, and it doesn't work. We're using the same model, the same cell lines, the same techniques.
Mm.
So we had to invite that postdoc to come to our lab, and then we got a presentation from her, and it went into discussions. And my boss was like, yeah, this is very convincing. I think we're going to stop that project and we're going to allocate these resources to something else. That is what sharing negative results or things that don't work do.
So it helps you save a lot of resources, a lot of energy, and
Exactly.
even sacrificing animals.
Yes, and also the pain. Can you imagine if you are doing experiments, you're trying to confirm a hypothesis, you have this set of assays that you want to do, and none of those assays gives you something that you expect to see. You start doubting yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
That's where frustrations come in. That's where, your confidence goes away. That's where you start overworking. You start probably, those who can't handle it, maybe they get into self-destructive habits, yeah? So I think it's there was a point where there was a journal called Journal of Negative Results. I don't know how far it went, but there was a journal that started some years ago called Journal of Negative Results. But I never liked that name because it's not a negative result. It simply means that
Your
uh,
hypothesis is not like you expect it to be.
exactly, and it's okay. And if you look at if I tell you a little bit of if you look at scientists like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, uh, Peter Higgs, those people probably focused more on those or what we saw called the negative results, and that's what led them to discover theories and equations that actually govern the laws of the universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it was by accident that Isaac Newton was sitting under an apple tree for him to realize that there's gravity, there's something happening here? Maybe he had tried to figure that thing out so much, nothing was working, and he decided to take a break. And then an apple fell from a tree, and he realized he asked himself, why is it not going up? Something is pulling it
Down.
down.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's similar.
sometimes what we expect isn't really the
Yeah.
reality.
Yes. When you also think about the story of Archimedes, who was trying to do some mathematical equations on buoyancy, and he could never discover the volume that an object can displace. So he went into his bathtub and he sat down, taking a shower, and he saw the water rising. And then it hit him that, oh, I'm actually displacing the volume that is equal to the volume of water that is equal to my body volume. And he left
Ah.
the bathroom, started running on the streets naked, not realizing he's naked, shouting, Eureka, Eureka, Eureka. Exactly.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yeah. So I think if I just finish on that, I think I will not call them failures because it's just because if science is hypothesis driven,
Yeah.
if you don't confirm something, it simply means that the hypothesis you had has not been confirmed. And it's okay. Yeah.
And it's okay.
Because it's like saying people walk on force. Yeah. Like people walk on 4 limbs. And then you go to Kenya, they walk on 2 limbs. You go to Ghana, they walk on 2 limbs. You go to the United States, they walk on 2 limbs. Maybe you go to a remote village in Papua New Guinea and you find them walking on 4 limbs, as an example. Yeah. So it means that if you do your research in Papua New Guinea, then your hypothesis will be confirmed. So it's also very context dependent. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right. And a friend of Amy said to her that when she does science, she feels like a short person trying to be a basketball player. Have you ever experienced episodes of self-doubt and
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome? Have you ever
Yeah.
experienced those episodes?
Yes. And I still have them.
Wow.
Even right now, as I'm about to submit this project that I'm doing,
Yeah.
at the back of my mind, I'm still questioning, is it good enough?
Am I good enough?
Not am I good enough? Is the project good enough to be
Yeah.
published?
Yeah.
Is it a good enough story? Yeah. So I think it's part of human nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of our nature to self-doubt ourselves. It's part of our nature to feel inadequate. And I think to an extent it's okay because it keeps us from being arrogant. Yeah.
Well put. Yeah.
It makes us more curious, maybe more hardworking, maybe more focused. Because if we knew everything, then yeah, we will just be walking on air. I know everything. I don't need your help, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So I think self-doubt is important.
Yeah.
But again, what I would say based on my experience is because I'm an extrovert, so I talk a lot and I make friends easily. And so when I talk to other people about how I feel, then suddenly they start opening up. Oh, you know what? I also feel like that. Then you realize, oh, I'm not alone.
Right.
Yeah? But if you keep it to yourself, then it eats you from the inside.
Then you will think that you're the only one who doesn't know the experiments. For example, I'm sure if you share with somebody that I haven't gotten results or I haven't published, and then they say, oh, me too, then it might make it a little bit bearable,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. So failure is just relative. And self-doubt, feeling like a short player in a basketball game, important. Yeah. Yeah. It's important.
Great. Then I know you have said that one of the skills that has helped you to succeed in science has been talking to people. But what other skills or habits have made the biggest difference in success and helping you to overcome challenges in science?
Okay, so I think I tend to I read a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read a lot around the subject that I want to discover. It's always also very good to have mentees. And since I started doing a PhD, I've been mentoring younger scientists, junior to me. And I can tell you there's always a lot you learn from them because they are very naive in quotes. Yeah. So they will ask those questions that you will never think of.
Yeah.
And therein lies the answer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think reading, having this peer to mentor or peer-to-peer relationships are very important. Other skill sets is just, having a plan. Yeah. Because science by itself is very complex, it's very difficult, it's very challenging. You're going to spend a lot of resources. It's very, very easy to get lost in everything. But I think if you have a plan of, okay, this is what I plan to do, this is how I plan to do it, and then trying to look around what have others done and how can my work what can I learn from them and input into my work, or how can I modify what they've done and input that into my work. So I think it's just realizing that you're not alone in this. Yeah, the plan is very important. Because if you are a businessman and you're trying to invest your resources, your money, your time in to come up with a product or to sell a product, with scientists also need to do the same. And I think planning and organization is at the core of everything. Yeah. So I think that's a very, very important thing that most of us overlook. Yeah, but if we plan well, we are probably able to know how much time are we spending doing this, how much resources will we need, and we are also able to document the findings out of every step that we have outlined in our project or in our scientific plan. Of course, sometimes things, because we're just human beings, things never go the way you want. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. And the environment. The environment, I think, is also very important. Yeah. A good supervisor will make or break you. Now, a supervisor will make or break you. And most of the time, you've probably also had this question: oh, should you select a good project or a good supervisor? And I always tell people, select a good supervisor, because even if the project doesn't look interesting, if you have a good supervisor, it will be interesting because you'll be comfortable, you'll be in a respectful environment, you'll be in a supportive environment. But sometimes there are supervisors who are the superstar scientists, for example. Some of the superstar scientists are always very awful human beings. Yeah.
So you have said that people should choose good supervisors. So how do you choose a good supervisor?
The easiest way is to find those who have worked in that lab previously, reach out to them, talk to them, find out their experiences there. I think that's very, very, very important. After that, one of the other things that I always look at is what sort of publications do these labs do? My personal, and this is subjective, it's just what works for me. I'm not saying it works for everyone. If I see a lab with high impact factor papers every year, I don't go there. Because
Why?
I know the pressure is too much. Not that I can't thrive under pressure, but I also believe that nobody is that good. Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody is that good, because if you look even at the creation story, God rested on a Sunday.
Okay.
If everything was working well when he was doing the creation, he would have continued, but he decided to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my personal opinion, that labs that always just produce high impact factor papers,
Yeah.
I just don't trust them. It doesn't augur well with me.
It means that there's no nurturing in terms of life, but pressure to succeed.
Yeah, it's a pressure cooker. It's a pressure cooker, because if you look at these high impact factor papers and then you look at the amount of work that goes into it, and then in most cases you look at the number of authors in them, it's just so it feels like a factory. Yeah, to me it feels like a factory. So purposefully, I tend to go for smaller labs, a lab where you are like, maximum 10 people, because then if the supervisor, and there's a reason why he or she is called a supervisor, they need to be overlooking or overseeing the group. Yeah. If this supervisor is married and has children at home, and then he has another 40 people in the lab, you tell me how he manages that. It's very, very, very difficult, even if they are superhuman. Yeah. So I think small labs for me are where good science really happens.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't judge good science these days by the publication. Because if you look at even the latest report, we are told that we cannot replicate or reproduce over 90% of what we put out.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point?
What's good science?
I think good science is where we add real value to society, or we add the real value to knowledge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not publications.
Yeah. I mean, there is I've come across, or I used to know of a group, a research group, I'll not say where, they used to work on mitochondrial proteins. You would ask yourself, why are these people working on mitochondrial proteins? I mean, and I even remember at one of the talks where one student was presenting about this, and we were like, why are you doing this? It's such a tiny organelle. But then later you come to realize that there's so many diseases that are affected because of dysregulation of these mitochondrial proteins.
Yeah.
And one of their papers, actually, they discovered a protein which now there are some big pharmaceutical companies developing a drug for. They never used to publish it. They would just do these simple journals, very simple journals that you probably just miss. Yeah. But for me, that's what I call good science.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I would call good science. Yeah. Not to say that all high impact factor journals are terrible. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that a lot of them really, I don't want to sound really harsh here, but a lot of them really, you can't reproduce them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So what advice would you give to students or early career researchers who are just getting started in science?
I would ask them to first question themselves if they understand what they're getting into. Yeah. Yes. I think it's very, very, very important because science is exciting. It's when things are working, it's very lovely, but it can also be a very dark moment if you really don't have the right environment and you're really not into what you're doing. Yeah. So it should not be a stopgap measure that, nothing else has worked. Let me go into science. Then you're probably not going to have an interesting experience. But also have an idea of what you're trying to do or what you want to do. Because I find it really, really valuable to work with people who know what they want.
Yeah.
Rather than people who want to be shepherded or to be carried across. It becomes very difficult. But if you really know what you want, it means you're invested. It means you have passion. It means you can wake up in the morning to go and do that. Yeah. And me and you are scientists. There are mornings where you're like, I really don't want to go to work today. We all have those moments. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you said the other day that when we start businesses, then people make business plans. But why not science? Why don't we make the same plans for science?
Exactly.
And then you will know if really science is what you want, or maybe you should just go and start a bakery, right?
Yeah. Or even there are many scientific jobs that don't really come with the pressure that we, sometimes I always envy the staff scientists.
Okay.
Yeah, because, whether things work or not, they're okay. But me and you that need to produce or write something at the end, it's always very tough.
Yeah.
It's always very tough. Or you go and be a chief technician at a startup. It's still science. You're still doing science, but whether things work or not, you're safe. But then the danger of that is that you'll be doing routine things.
Yeah.
So it would just feel like a clerical job.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of science lies in you using your brain, you engaging or interacting with others, Exactly.
So now, what myths about science careers would you like to bust right now? Because you have just talked about you envy the science stuff who are not like us. So what myths would you like to bust right now?
I mean, people look at us scientists sometimes like little gods, like we know everything, like our lives are super cool. Like if you go to a party and you tell people I'm a scientist, everybody wants to know what you're working Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I know, I
I
know. Like when I go to to a party and I say I'm doing a PhD, and then they ask what PhD, and I'm like in microbiology. I'm like, oh my God, you must be very clever.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's always that,
yeah,
but then again, because we are also very detached from the normal public, because we scientists also tend to communicate among ourselves, so the wider public feels like,
segregated.
they are segregated, they're so far away from us. And I think that detachment from the public makes it very difficult for them to know what we are doing, to understand our frustrations, to understand or to comprehend even the things that we have to do to get where we are. Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that's a myth that I would like to bust. We are not gods. We don't know everything. We're just ordinary human beings, just doing something, should I say extraordinary? Maybe.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Uh,
just doing something extraordinary, but we're just normal people. Yeah.
yeah, but that's a good point you've put, because we only go to scientific conferences and present our
Yeah.
work to um, scientific journals, and
Mhm.
then people don't understand our work, and that's really a disservice for us if we want to benefit the society and we don't tell them what we are doing.
And that is why then scientific conspiracies come up.
Right.
Yeah, because we are so focused on research, publish, research, publish, research, publish. We don't care what the public thinks. And when the public says something like, oh, you know, uh, uh, this and this, or this as one of these scientific myths that, oh, for instance, if you eat, I'll use one of the common ones. If you've seen GMO tomatoes with eyes, or people eat, if you eat GMO maize, you'll start growing horns and whatever. You've seen things like those, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't blame people who do those things, because it's up to us scientists to climb down our ivory tower and make sure that as part of our public engagement, yeah,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and as part of our public engagement, we speak to people. And it brings me back to now what I was talking about, all these high impact factor publications.
Yeah.
And if you want to know why this is important, just look at what is happening in the US right now with all the NIH funding being cut and whatever. I mean, the public, a lot of the public are like, what does the NIH even do?
Mm.
Exactly. But,
Yeah.
oh, if you go and talk to people, you're like, oh, but we've published this, we've published that. Somebody who is mining coal in West Virginia, or, somebody who is fishing in Alaska, they'll be like, okay, but how does that help me?
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
think I think we need to make science more accessible.
I, I think for me, accessibility is still looking down on the public. It's like, no, we just need to tell the public what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just need to tell them this is why we are doing this. This is why it's important. And it has to be genuinely. And that's why I see now there are some journals that have started having like newsletters. Yeah. So when they publish scientific research, they also have these simply newsletters written in simple languages to try and inform the public of, oh, this
Yeah.
is what happens. And just to wrap that up, if you even look at countries where you are, like in Finland or even Norway, Denmark, England, and whatever, you find that as much as government funds research, there's a lot of money that is coming from the public through charity, through donations, that funds a lot of research. Yeah. Then take that picture and then look at our continent, Africa, and look at even Kenya. Do we have, like, public charities that are actually just raising resources to fund research? Not really. Reason, even the simple work, the work that we do is not out there. If you ask, I once did a simple, just, joke on some people that I know. And I asked them, what does Isipe do?
Mm.
Oh, Isipe. I think they work on insects. That's all they know.
Yeah.
What about ILRI? There's livestock in the name. They work on livestock.
Yeah.
But if that's all people know about what you're doing, then it means we are really doing a big disservice
To the community.
to the community. So we really need to up our game, not only in Africa but also across the world. We really need to up our game to make sure that we inform the public so that so that next time you go to a party and you say you're a scientist, they're like, I know what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say believe in myself more.
Right.
Yeah, believe in myself more, because there are instances where I self-doubt myself and then it delays a lot of things. And even though back there we've said that self-doubt is important,
Yeah.
but I think if I believed in myself more, I would accomplish much more. I would probably be more productive. I'll probably be more useful to the scientific community as well as the public. So that's something that I'm reflecting on more a lot. Yeah, and believing yourself more means asking that question that you did not want to ask, not being afraid to look stupid. You know, believing in yourself more means taking that risk. Yeah, of course it has to be calculated and measured. Yeah, because that's how you build confidence. And yeah, just a little story. A year ago, I was talking to a CEO of a company in Kenya, and we were just having a conversation about a couple of ideas here and there. And the guy was like, I'm really inspired by what you do. Yeah, this was a CEO saying this to me, and where I was seated, I was like, will I ever be a company CEO one day?
Okay.
You see that? So from our positions, we doubt ourselves, but others see things in us that we don't.
That's really a really important message, because I think I forget the words directly, but somebody says we are busy belittling ourselves, but there are some people who wish they could be like us, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's very, very, very important. And I'm thankful for my wife because she's constantly reminding me of these things. At points where I want to quit, at points when I want to give up, she's like, no, just do it one more time. If it doesn't work out, and then I do it one more time, and then it works out, and then you're like, you were right. Yeah, yeah, I'm your wife. I'm always right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really nice to have somebody, especially in science, who can be a cheerleader for you, especially in terms of those self-doubt and when you want to give up.
yeah.
That's a very good point for us to stop our talk today.
hmm
But before we wrap up, what's the key message that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
The science is great. Science is important for society, and science is not cast on stone. What is true today is only true based on the evidence we have today. Tomorrow it might change. So if you're going to be a scientist, also have an open mind. What you believe as true today might not be true tomorrow, and that's what makes it interesting.
Thank you so much, Victor. This has been one of the most exciting talks that I've had, and I've learned a lot.
You're welcome.
Most of the conversations that we have shared today have been really helpful for my work. It's going to be helpful, I'm sure, for other PhD researchers and other young scientists. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us at the Science Basement podcast today. It has been really great having you here. And I hope you also enjoyed the chat today.
Oh yeah, I really enjoy science communication, and I'm at a point now where I'm thinking of transitioning to being a senior scientist in Kenya.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really want to do is talk and speak about science. It's important that we do these things because that's the only way we kind of create an even playing field for everyone so that everybody can be a scientist.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And to our audience, as a reminder, keep looking for our new episode on the podcasting platform of your choice. I've been your host for today, Roslidia Makunja, and this was the Science Basement Podcast. Thank you for listening and see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Science Basement.